It started as all things do, with an idea. A beautiful, creative, and spectacular idea, thought up by one of the galaxy's most insignificant creatures. A creature whose species was so stupid they launched atomic weapons at each other on their home planet. A species so dumb that as soon as they achieved spaceflight, they started fighting each other. So when one of these humans had the idea that he could go faster in hyperspace by doing things a little different and rather brazenly decided that the laws of physics did not apply to him, the galaxy took note and waited for the inevitable explosion and debris field. This stubborn little human wrote down his idea and published it to the galactic scientific community, and rather than the expected support and encouragement of his peers, he was widely ridiculed, and on several occasions the butt of several jokes. Many scientists from across the cosmos pointed out, and quite rightly so, that it was not possible to break the laws of physics, and his idea was pure lunacy, and he should try stand-up comedy. But rather than discourage him, it had the opposite effect, and furthermore it seemed to galvanize the humans into solidarity with each other. It completely baffled the whole galaxy how telling one human he couldn't do something managed to unify their entire race. It became a matter of pride for the human race, as they spent untold resources and time on perfecting the idea. Humans were seen parading around wearing t-shirts emblazoned with logos like "Your rules, not mine" and "Go team break physics," and the galaxy just shook its collective heads and sighed. Then came the day of the test. The humans proudly broadcast the event to the cosmos, and whilst the cosmos looked on with a sense of smug "I know what comes next" kind of attitude, and a perverse expectation of the violent conclusion to this doomed science experiment, a few still tried to prevent the coming calamity. But the humans were not to be dissuaded, and as the original human whose idea had started this science experiment climbed into the cockpit of the test ship, the humans proudly patted each other on the back and clapped. As he accelerated to hyperspace, the ship's engine bellowing out a quite impressive level of power, the ship seemed to blink out of existence. The explosion that followed completely atomized the little ship. There was absolute stunned silence from the humans, and then panic as they tried to signal the ship. The galaxy looked on bemused. The pilot of the ship and the very ship itself were now atoms and one with the galaxy. After several "I told you so" from several alien species, and more than a few smirks from even more alien races, the humans held an inquiry into what they called the accident, and in fairness to the humans, it was very thorough and unbiased. The humans did not seem afraid to place blame for the tragedy on themselves. But, in an exasperating twist, despite admitting the fault was theirs, it only seemed to spur them on to try again, this time with unmanned ships. Each time they tried the same result. It became a joke to the galaxy, but to the humans, failure spurred them on to try something different, to take a different approach. It was amusing and inspiring at the same time. Several decades passed and the galaxy started to worry. The humans had become obsessed. The resources the humans had put into this science project were incalculable. True, the humans had expanded tenfold, and since unifying they had become completely self-sufficient in a way no other race could hope to match, but their fascination with breaking the speed barrier was quite frankly terrifying. The galaxy watched as humans tried one thing, and when that failed they tried something else. Never appearing to run out of crazy ideas or half-baked notions, they toiled on. With each setback they would learn, and new technologies would be created. The speed with which they were developing was truly shocking. The ridiculing of humanity for their multiple failures and inability to listen slowly stopped by the other races, as where they once looked on with pity and sometime the usual smug laughter, it had turned in awe and a grudging respect. Once insane ideas, decades previously, had galvanized an entire species from being insignificant nobodies into the most talked-about race in the galaxy. And what was more amazing was that even though humanity had become these crazy, lunatic, mad scientists, they still took the time to take part in galactic events, shared their many technological breakthroughs with the rest of the galaxy, and never once turned anyone down when they needed help. When the plague of Adorax Prime broke out, The humans turned their scientists from their pursuit of going faster to finding a cure. And whilst humanity was not able to find that cure, in record time the collective minds of the humans not only discovered a vaccine, but also managed to find a way to negate the plague effects, saving billions of lives and allowing the millions of infected to live out their lives in relative comfort. And when the Charlaxian Civil War finally came to its bitter conclusion, and their homeworld was a smoking wasteland, humans turned their minds to creating machines which cleansed the atmosphere of poisons, rejuvenated the soil, provided medical care, and even rebuilt their cities. And even when the Tsar declared war on the humans simply turned their attention to building ships and weapons, the likes of which the galaxy had never seen before, and within a year the Tsar had sued for peace. But with every tragedy that the humans helped solve, and with every situation they found themselves in, once they turned their collective minds to the problem, it was solved in record time, and as soon as it was solved, they would go straight back to solving the original, insane, bright idea of going faster in hyperspace. It was now 50 years since the first attempt at going faster. The humans are again making another attempt. It had become an event of sorts in the galaxy now, betting on how long the ship would last before it inevitably exploded. And as the ship accelerated towards hyperspace, the galaxy once again feverishly started betting. There was the inevitable flash, but instead of an explosion, there sat the human ship, intact, and somehow looking older. The galaxy was stunned. What had just happened? Human scientists, after a short couple of seconds, immediately started whooping and cheering, hugging each other, and in many cases breaking down in tears of relief. The galaxy looked on as the humans immediately began planning for a manned test. Scientists from numerous races immediately began asking the question, what the hell did they just do? The humans, rather than being smug, invited those very same scientists who once ridiculed them to join in the research and development, sharing their data and results with everyone. What had once been a human obsession now became the galaxy's first collective science project. In a mere couple of years since the successful test, an entirely new form of space travel had been developed, which the humans shared willingly with everyone. A journey which would have taken months to complete could now be done in mere hours. Humans had completely undone the laws of physics by stubbornly not giving up. And now, when an idea is put forward, no matter how batshit crazy it is, the galaxy ponders the idea and looks at the possibilities, instead of just dismissing it. And the humans? Well, they were asked what now that their creative great work was complete. After what they termed as a well-earned vacation, they started on their next great project, and when they were asked what that was, the humans simply turned round and said, making an actual edible pot noodle.